Sometimes even good people can make a mistake. And when it happens, it's one of the most intense and emotional experiences of your life. It could be a DUI, or maybe you were in the wrong place with the wrong people at the wrong time. Or perhaps you just did something stupid at the spur of the moment without even thinking, and now you're in trouble with the law. Well, you need experienced legal help right away so you don't become a victim of the criminal justice system. Even good people can make a mistake, and if you, a friend, or a loved one has been accused of a crime, don't make another mistake by hiring the wrong attorney for the kind of help you need. You need to visit toddjohnslaw.com. That's toddjohnslaw.com, and then call Attorney Todd Johns today. Attorney Todd Johns has decades of experience helping good people like you who have made mistakes or bad decisions and will stand by you every step of the way. toddjohnslaw.com.
Enough out of you. I am your host, Mr. Bill Rader, and joining me is my co-host, Mr. Sean Kane. Sean, what's going on? How are you?
Billy Raids, how you doing on this fine morning?
I'm doing good. I can't see. Well, I could see, but not very well. I'm just tired. Like I'm all blurry from just being tired, exhausted, run down, But I do to myself. I have only myself to blame, Sean. I am way too busy these days. And
me too, buddy. If I get 4 hours sleep, buddy, that's a lot. Sometimes I get 5. That's about it.
Yeah, I need more than that. I need like 6 or 7 hours just to function. So
I can't tell you the last time I got 7 hours, buddy.
Oh, anyway, Sean, we've got a fun episode ahead.
Our favorite.
This is our favorite. We love doing these question and comment episodes. And when you do a question and comment episode, the most important thing you need are questions and comments. And we got plenty of those from our great listeners. And
we always do.
Our Patreons. By the way, if you haven't checked out our Patreon yet, go to Patreon and look up That's Enough Out of You and sign up. You can sign up for free if you want, but if you want our extra content, we do an extra show every week called The Speakeasy. If you want that, it starts at $1 a month, so you can't beat that, John. I mean, No,
you can't, Bill. And also, I've been putting a lot of content on there. I've been putting articles on there because when I put stuff on, this fascist social media like Facebook and Twitter gets taken down and removed.
Right.
I've been putting a lot of stuff, criticizing the shit show in Washington on our Patreon. So people have been enjoying it, getting a lot of good feedback on that. So check us out.
For sure. All right. And then, of course, we have our merchandise, we have our bookshop. We've got all that stuff going on, and you can check it all out. We still have a website, Sean. And I know that, right?
Website. I haven't put a lot of articles up there recently, but you could get all our social media links. You could get all our past episodes, audio. You could also get a link to the YouTube, get all our videos. I'll be putting up more articles there, but lately I've been putting them on Patreon just because they've been taken down when I put a lot of them on, Billy.
Yeah, Patreon's a really cool site. I enjoy Patreon. So, like I said, hopefully you guys will check it out. It's, when you think about it, it's $12 for the year. If you want to sign up for $1, you can sign up for more if you want, or sign up for nothing. But definitely check it out and it's a great community. So join that community. It's a really cool, cool people, and the patrons that we already have are really smart, intelligent people with a lot of cool things to say. And we get a lot
of great conversation, Billy, on there.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. And we get a lot of our comments and our questions from Patreon also. So. All right, Sean, why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll kick off with our very first question.
Sounds good.
All right. We will be right back. DK's Corner, now located at 201 Cherry Street in Jessup, Pennsylvania, is serving up the area's best tasting food at respectable prices. Known for our great cheesesteaks, DK's also has delicious breakfast sandwiches, specialty coffees, and catering 7 days a week. You'll love the wraps, soups, and pizza too. We're now open Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit DK's Corner on Facebook to see our daily specials, and make sure to follow and like us while you're there. We offer local delivery to homes and businesses, takeout, or come and dine in our new restaurant in Jessup. Call or text DK's Corner at 570-209-0278 or hit us up on DoorDash. And we thank DK's Corner for sponsoring That's Enough Out of You. All right, we are back and we're doing our question and comment episode. We love it. These are our favorite episodes to do. All right, Sean, first question comes from Tony Soprano's Casserole Dinner in Newark, New Jersey. These are the best names. What was the other one? Silvio Dante's
Suit and tie or something?
Tie, something like that. Yeah, that's great. I wonder if it's the same person.
No, it isn't. Different.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, keep them coming. Keep the Sopranos references coming. We love those. All right. This one says, guys, how powerful was the gangster Mickey Spillane? Also, I would love to see a movie on the Westies. In your opinion, what actor would be a good fit to play Jimmy Coonan? Keep up the work. I hope you mean good work, not just the work. I love the show and look forward to it weekly. Well, thank you, Tony Soprano's Casserole Dinner.
Well, let's answer the second question first.
Yeah, as far as the Westies go, we've talked about that in the past.
We have. I'll tell you what, Billy, you and I would play a good Coonan Featherstone back in the day, our younger days when we had longer hair. But
right.
The thing is, I think a perfect, Jimmy Coonan would have been Dennis Leary. Dennis Leary kind of looks like him. He's crazy.
Yeah.
I think he would have played, but now he's older. Like you got to remember the Westies in the Westies heyday, when Jimmy Coonan and Mickey Featherstone were running things, they were really like in their 20s. They were young guys, into their 30s. So you would have to get an actor. I mean, I don't know. I would see, like back in the day, I would see like Leonardo DiCaprio would play like a Mickey Featherstone maybe. But he's older now. So I don't know. You would have to get a young actors.
Yeah.
Those two guys, Billy. And I just don't see a lot of great young talent that fit the description, buddy. But I would love to see a great movie on the Westies. I even have a script in my head to write because I get so frustrated with there's no real movies on the Westies ever. The one State of Grace was terrible, made them look like a bunch of pansies. I hate that movie. That movie's, if people say that movie's great, I think that movie was one of the worst ever made. And it's not a knock on Sean Penn. He's a great actor, but the actor could do only so much if the writing is horrible.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know, Bill, do you have any thoughts? I don't, I try to think of there's one.
No, Sean, I don't know that many young. I mean, the only show that I really watch with young actors is at Cobra Kai. And
I don't see any of those guys like the guy that plays Johnny Lawrence would fit, but he's older now. Like he would be a good Coonan back in the day.
Right.
He's older now. So any of those young guys, like none of them really fit the bill. I don't think they looked apart.
Right.
Do you watch the show Reacher?
Yeah.
Do you remember season 1? Because they're on season 3 now, but season 1, the one kid that played he was a bad guy, was a younger guy, blonde hair. I'm not sure of his name, but he did give me that Jimmy Coonan look. He had that look to him. So I haven't seen anything else he's done. I know he was good in that role, but he was kind of like a crazy bad guy in that role. So
yeah,
you would have to have somebody though, like Coonan was so methodical and very disciplined, where Mickey Featherstone was crazy and messed up from Vietnam War.
Right.
So you would have to get two totally different type actors to play them, but I don't know. That's a great question. And what was the first part, Billy?
Mickey Spillane.
Yeah, so Mickey Spillane was very powerful. It ties in, Billy, to what we've been talking about, the episode that's up now in the 1929 conference. Oni Madden ran Hell's Kitchen, west side of Manhattan. Then he retires, goes to Arkansas, builds a political dynasty down there. And a guy by the name of Huey Mulligan takes over. Huey Mulligan runs the same streets, that Madden or Oni Madden did. And then he kind of retires and goes to Florida. And I'm looking into, he kind of created a political kind of atmosphere that Madden did. He created it down in Florida. So I'm looking into that now. But then Mickey Spillane takes over, and of course, he ran the streets. He was very powerful, but he was also tied to politics, like we talk about. That was the Irish's role that was laid out at the 1929 conference. He married into the McManus family.
Mm-hmm.
They were a powerful state political family in New York. So he was very powerful, but his problem, Mickey Spillane's problem was he started a war with the Westies, with Jimmy Coonan, because he was shaking down Jimmy Coonan's father, who was just a regular guy, a tax accountant, not involved in organized crime. And Jimmy, as a young kid, seen his father get beat up by Spillane. So he held his grudge against Spillane his entire life and started a war with him as soon as he built his own gang. And then Spillane had other problems because he didn't cut his partners in the mafia in on the Javits Convention Center, which was a huge construction project at the time on the west side of Manhattan. So Fat Tony Salerno and the Genovese family put a contract on him, as well as the Gambinos. And also, Spillane was kidnapping Italian gangsters, holding them for ransom. So he was making a lot of enemies. And then he made another enemy with Roy DeMeo, because DeMeo wanted to, embrace Jimmy Coonan as a partner. And he felt he would get made if he would be able to bring Coonan into the fold with the Gambinos. So Spillane started a war on three fronts, Billy, against the Gambinos, the Genovese, and the Westies. And you're not going to win, no matter how powerful you are.
Right.
Win against those, especially the Westies and the Mayo crew. I mean, the craziest gangsters maybe in United States history are coming after you. And then Fat Tony used an Irish gangster, Mad Dog Sullivan, that we talked about, to come after Mickey Spillane's group, and he ran that through the unions through a guy named John Sullivan, no relation. And it all ties in, Bill. You see how everything ties in the 1929 conference. That's why that episode's so important, because the roles are established, Billy. Everything's established. And we're going to do an episode coming up on a book that Lisa Pease sent me on how the CIA and the labor unions work together. So we're doing that episode coming up. And while I was doing some research on that, I found another huge Irish gang in Philly, Bill, called the K&A gang, the north end of Philly, that kind of been erased from history. And this I always thought this was a small gang, but the more I looked into it, an enormous gang. So we're going to talk about that and their impact on everything, because they were tied to the South Philly Cosa Nostra family, which tied into Atlantic City.
Interesting. All right. Good answer. All right. Yeah, we'll have to do an episode on Mickey Spillane one of these days.
Yeah, we're going to have to, Billy.
Yeah.
We're going to have to, definitely.
All right. Tony Soprano's Casserole Dinner in Newark, New Jersey. Thank you for that one.
Sounds pretty good, Billy.
I don't know if he ever ate casserole. I remember him eating a lot of pasta.
Yeah, he ate a lot of pasta.
I don't know about casserole.
Like the big steaks too. Remember him and Bacala sitting there to talk about Notre Dame football and the Hunchback.
Right. Yeah, that's right. All right, thank you. Next one comes from John Burns. Sean, I'm not quite sure what this is in reference to. It's from the Don Mcgovern episode. But John is saying it is depressing, but part of it is sellouts like Maureen Callahan. Part of it is MR algorithm. I think that's what that means. And part of it is uninformed, well-intentioned people who have been lied to by mainstream media their whole lives. Sean, this is where you and Bill shine. You two guys are our firewall. Thanks to Don Mcgovern and his great points. What's he saying there?
Well, he's talking about specifically the episode we did with Don when we talked about John Heyman.
Right.
John Heyman, how he made these phony interviews and people in the mainstream accepted it as fact. And
okay, right.
When he talks about Maureen Callahan, she wrote a book that was bashing the Kennedys and Marilyn Monroe. And she came on the show with that awful Megyn Kelly, who's terrible, one of the most disgusting journalists. I don't even call her a journalist. She's terrible.
No, she's not.
And she's awful, just an awful human being. And they came on and they bashed, they said all this stuff that no documentation, no source documents. So that's what he's referring to. Always great comments from John.
John's been a listener from, I think, right from the get-go, right? He's been a listener for a
long-time listener, but when he's talking about Don there and his great work, and he's right, the mainstream, they fell for this. And I don't know if it was lazy journalism, but it ties in, Bill, to what we have on the episode right now about how they did with the old man Kennedy stuff, where you're talking about a different guy, Daniel Joseph Kennedy. They're not even two guys. There's two separate guys.
Right,
They
right.
attributed to the old man Kennedy and ruin his reputation.
And people just accept it as fact. I was listening to an interview with Mike Francesa. We love him. I mean, as far as sports go, Francesa is he's one of the best ever, right?
Sure.
But he
loves John Kennedy.
He loves JFK, but he's fallen for for crap.
He
says, we all know that Kennedy was a womanizer. We all know that. And, maybe he was a womanizer, but he was not, he didn't do half the things that they claim he did in these books.
Well, Bill, I've been looking into a lot of that, and I'm not going to say he never had an affair, because I think there's evidence that he did, but to call him, like, they make him out to be like Mick Jagger, Billy, like a rock star that's lining up 500 girls after a concert. Like, it's just, they exaggerate it to a point that's ridiculous. And then they bring in the mafia and all this nonsense. So, but the thing with Francesa, Bill, is he reads a lot of the mainstream stuff that came from a lot of these interviews with Heyman.
Right.
Oh, and it's just, but he's a big, I enjoy when he does talk about Kennedy, when he just sticks to the basics.
Right.
He loves Kennedy. His mother was a huge Kennedy fan, and he talks about that a lot. So, but when he gets into the nonsense,
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, John Burns. We appreciate it. We appreciate you being a longtime listener. Really means a lot to us. So thank you. All right, Sean. This next one comes from Botan Kimura in Nagoya. Oh boy, I'm just gonna say Japan. So because otherwise I'm gonna screw it up. But this question is: we are so impressed with your podcast. Your knowledge of so many events is incredible, and your interaction with top-notch guests is exciting. Question: how do you two feel that celebrity Joe Rogan is an intel asset?
Ooh.
Well, calling Joe Rogan a celebrity is pushing it a little bit, but I don't think he's an intel. Joe Rogan is a comedian. Let's not make Joe Rogan out to be anything more than that. He's a comedian.
Let me tell you something, Bill. Let me tell you why I don't dismiss this.
All right.
Because Joe Rogan has a longtime guest on his show named Mike Baker. Have you ever seen Mike Baker?
Yes, I have. Yes.
He says it's probably not his real name, probably an alias. He says he's a retired CIA field supervisor, which is these guys never retire, but and Mike Baker had a show called Black Files Declassified, that they went over different conspiracies. He had another show on the History Channel, the Smithsonian Channel, one of them, when he debunked conspiracies. And you notice he always talks about the JFK assassination, and him and Rogan would argue, and he's always dismissing whether the CIA was involved and whether it was a conspiracy. But one of the shows, Bill, that he did on the History Channel, I believe, is he was debunking the James Earl Ray Martin Luther King assassination. And he actually reenacted it standing. Remember, we talked about it in the episode we did at the bathtub, how you would have to stand on the outside of the bathtub and in that window, and how hard it was. Well, it took him like 5-6 tries before he could hit a target. And the thing is, you could tell he's well skilled in weaponry and handling guns. And there's no evidence that James L. Ray was ever even fired a weapon. So there's no evidence that he was skilled as Mike Baker, so for him, and then he says at the end, we'll see James L. Ray could have pulled this off. Well, he didn't talk about the tree that was the bushes that was cut down and all this other stuff. So, and the tree that was blocking the view and all this other stuff. So to me, if Joe Rogan is an intel asset, that's his handler, Billy. And I'm suspicious of a lot of the things he does say, Bill, because he has remember, Bill, I always think that Trump is an intel asset and MAG is a like MK Ultra operation. So to me, like, if you want, this is your perfect guy to reach that type of audience and tell information that you want told, because they have a long history of dealing with radio people. Gordon McClendon, who was very close to Jack Ruby, worked for David Atlee Phillips at the CIA. So I wouldn't dismiss that, Bill. I have no evidence to back it up, but I wouldn't dismiss it just because Joe Rogan's an idiot. I mean, he's got a huge following. He's very successful.
Sure, but
he has a very reach to specific people, Bill. MAGA loves Joe Rogan.
Sure, they do.
So, and I would be suspicious of a lot of these guys. Jimmy Dore's another one. People love Jimmy Dore. don't believe a lot of stuff he says. I'm really suspicious of a lot of these guys, Bill.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying they're all intel assets, but I think they all have agendas.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I don't think Joe Rogan is an intel asset. I again,
You just think he's an ass.
yeah, exactly. Very easy to shorten that. All right. Well, thank you, Botan Kimura. I appreciate that. I'll tell you what, Sean, we'll take one more and we'll do a quick break. This comes from Princess Wendy in Salem, Oregon. Sean and Bill, I love you two, even though I rarely agree with you on sports, history, or politics. I'm an LSU grad, so I hate Notre Dame. I'm a lifelong conservative Republican, and I don't believe in conspiracy theories. However, there is something about you two that helps me get through the workday. I'm currently binge listening to all your episodes from the beginning. Please don't ever give this up. They should put you guys on radio or TV. I don't think so. Love from the Southern Princess in the Pacific Northwest. Well, Wendy, we thank you. Yeah, you don't have to agree with us to listen.
No, you don't. We have listeners that disagree with everything we say.
You sure do. In fact, after the break, we're going to get to one. But no, Wendy, we appreciate we appreciate you listening. We definitely have faces for radio. I don't think us being on TV would be a good idea. But no, I appreciate it. Thank you. We don't necessarily believe in quote conspiracy theories either, right?
I mean, the facts, but we debunk more conspiracy theories.
Exactly. So I'm hoping
we just deal with facts. But I mean, to Wendy, I mean, it's great that she still listens, even though she disagrees with everything we say. I mean, that's fine. I mean, we appreciate the feedback, as long as you keep it civil and respectful.
Right. And I'm interested. I mean, obviously you can disagree with us in sports and politics. I'm interested, Wendy, if you are listening to this, if you want to reply, what you disagree with us on history about, because history is history. I mean, we talk about the facts of history. We're not, one of these shows that distort history or give you an alternate version of history. So, let us know what do you disagree with us on history about. That'd be interesting to hear. All right, Sean, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we have a really, really interesting comment, and we are going to go to town on this one. So we'll be right back. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors. And we would like to thank our sponsor, Gracious Day Grains. Sean, you like to eat healthy, don't you?
Always, buddy. I try to eat healthy as much as I can.
Yeah, and there is nothing healthier than what they call like farm to table, right? So when you can get something right from the ground and make it and then put it right on your table. And Gracious Day Grains, they have a tremendous selection, and it's totally organic. Everything is, they don't use any sort of herbicides or pesticides or anything like that. They have a bunch of different products on their website, Gracious Day Grains. So if you go to graciousdaymilling.com, you'll find a bunch of great stuff there, Sean.
Yeah, you will, Billy. And it's owned by Tom Maxey, who's a great guy from Virginia. He's a truth seeker, just like me and you, buddy. And Tom's growing philosophy follows the wisdom of farmers of centuries past. And a quote from Tom is, "If we practice the right rotations, we exclude the bugs and weeds without needing herbicides or pesticides." So, I mean, this is great, Billy. I mean, what he's doing is fantastic.
There's cornbread mix, there's cornmeal, popcorn he sells, buckwheat Sean, have you had buckwheat pancakes?
No, buddy.
Oh my, they're delicious. I love buckwheat pancakes. And Gracious Day Grains sells buckwheat pancakes. Just go to their website and you'll be able to find all of this stuff there. You can order it right off the website. You can find out all about how they farm and their whole philosophy. Tom's philosophy is great stuff.
It really is, Billy. And one of the things he does is he grinds small batches at very low temperatures, which retains the flavor and the freshness.
Of course. And it can't get any fresher than that. I mean, it's literally right from the ground. So again, go to graciousdaymilling.com and just, take a look on there. You can order whatever you want and they'll send it right to your door. I mean, again, it doesn't get any fresher than that, right? From Tom's farm to your door to your table. So
Absolutely. And eat healthy and you'll feel better.
absolutely. I wish I could do that. I wish I could eat healthier, Sean.
We'll start with Tom's stuff, buddy.
I'm going to order some of those buckwheat pancakes. I love
There you go. I'm
making
going to try them too, Billy.
Yeah, they're really good. All right. Gracious Day. We thank Gracious Day Grains for their sponsorship.
Thank you.
All right, we are back on That's Enough Out of You. I'm your host, Bill Rader. All right, Sean, we're doing our questions and comments episode, and this is if this comment was intended to set us off, well, you've done it. From AJ Forever 8251. Trump Derangement Syndrome is a serious illness, and you two have it bad. I will pray for you all. Trump literally released all the JFK files on his first day, and you guys run a JFK YouTube channel and didn't know that. OMG, get help.
We did a whole episode on the JFK records. Are you kidding me? We had two lawyers and a professor on about them.
Well, this.
Go ahead, you go first, Billy. Because
okay, so here's AJ Forever. AJ Forever is laying on the couch in his trailer eating raw hot dogs, drinking a case of Schlitz, watching Fox News, with his sister slash girlfriend sitting next to him, and he's he's commenting on a show that he doesn't understand clearly. There's some, Sean, I think people listen to our show for two different reasons. Much like that Howard Stern used to say that. He used to say people listen to my show for two different reasons. There are smart people who listen to our show to become informed, to learn things. And then there are people who listen to our show because it's noise. And they think that they understand it, but they clearly don't. And AJ is one of these people who clearly don't understand our show. He's saying Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, if you mean by that Trump is deranged, yes, I agree with you. He's right now, what he's doing is he's ruining thousands and thousands of lives. Sean, I've got a friend who works, who has a government job. He's a hardworking guy. He's not DEI. He's a veteran. He's a hard worker. He shows up every day. And he's probably going to lose his job because of this nonsense that's going on. He's the people that voted for him, people like AJ. And AJ, you can pray for us all you want. You better pray for yourself, because you're probably going to lose your job based on what Trump and Adolf Musk are doing right now, because they're following, Sean. If you look at Project 2025, which we did a show about, they're following Project 2025 chapter and verse. They're going through every single line and checking it all off. There's going to be no more free breakfast and lunch for these kids. They're going to destroy the school system, so our kids are going to be even stupider than their parents. Guess what? There's things like buses they're not even going to have anymore. So you're going to have to drive your kids to school every day. It's just stupid. So, I mean, AJ, get your GED and your MAGA hat that was made in China, and your Nazi flag and whatever else, and stick it up your ass. And Sean, why don't you tell them about the how Trump released the JFK files?
Well, Bill, I'll try to follow up that great thing by you there, but yeah, I mean, we talked about that, Bill, and we did a whole episode. So I don't know what this guy's talking about. And for us, we did know everything about it. We were in contact with lawyers, Bill, that was involved with working on getting these released. So we had them on our show. So I don't know what this guy's talking about, but as far as Trump derangement syndrome, how about Trump sycophancy and Trump complacency? Because those are two really sicknesses that people have. Because all you do is tell the facts, Bill. Listen, people say you hate Trump. Well, listen, it's the reason I really hate him is not because he's a deplorable human being, which he is. It's mainly because he sucks at the job. I don't want him to fail. I live in this country. I want him to succeed because I live here. Right. I mean, stupid. You know what I mean? So he's just terrible at the job, Bill. The economy's in the tank. It's not even safe to fly. He's got Musk out there cutting programs. Like, yeah, understand general terms. It's great thing to cut waste, but you know what? You don't do it like this. And
Right.
just we're cutting everything, not even looking at what they're cutting. The nuclear watchdogs get cut, and then they didn't know how to get them back. I mean, it's unsafe the way they're doing this.
They're cutting FAA.
Oh,
Planes are falling out of the sky. I mean,
and they're going to blame DEI on that.
Right. Of
You know,
course.
and it's like, and then yesterday in the White House, the situation with Zelensky was a disgrace. The way
Graceful.
Trump and Musk acted. I mean, take the politics out for a second, and just on a human level, that was a disgrace. The way they acted. And the thing is, there's so many bad takes, Bill, on the Ukraine. I'm hearing all these people, like, the thing is, you know, the only reason Trump is not worried about ending wars and stuff, the only reason he did what he did yesterday is to stick up for his buddy Putin.
Right.
We're not even going to get into the Kosnov, you know, asset stuff, you know, and the other reason is because Zelensky backed Harris, and he even mentioned that. So he wanted, you know, they ambushed him yesterday. It was a disgrace. Went on there, and you know, and then he's got Musk there, Bill. And the thing is, people don't understand how much money Musk has. They're worried about handouts to people who get $60 on welfare bill, but yet they don't worry about giving government contracts to Musk worth $1 billion. He's worth
how much?
$100 billion. Bill, let me just say this.
Go ahead.
Understand, like, say you're worth $2 million or whatever, or no, better yet, say you're Taylor Swift, who's worth what, a couple $1 billion.
Maybe.
She's closer to the middle class and the poor people than she is to Musk.
Right.
Musk is worth 600. He's going to be a trillionaire within the next couple of years because he just keeps growing under Trump.
Well, let's put it this way. He just based on his government contracts. How many government contracts does he have? He's got
20. I think there's 20 or something.
20.
There's a lot.
You know how much money he makes a day? Makes $8 million a day.
Right.
These government
contracts.
contracts.
Conflict of interest, Bill.
Oh,
to have him in that position he's in with that boy band of hackers he has. If he was looking for waste, he would have forensic accountants, not a bunch of hackers that look like they should be in a boy band.
Right.
This is ridiculous, Bill. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. And he's just cutting everything, Bill. I put an article on Patreon about that. It's like, you know, a coach takes over a football team. I'm going to cut the roster in half. I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to not even look at who I'm cutting. My starting quarterback, you know, it's unbelievable, Bill.
It's insane. All right. Enough of this. I honestly can't do anymore. So AJ, do me a favor. Don't pray for us. Pray for yourself. We don't need your
prayers, Billy. Thoughts and prayers, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's enough out of you. All right. Next one, Sean. Well, let's get back to some normalcy here if we can. Charlotte Blackman in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. Guys, love your program. What are your thoughts on Brad Meltzer's book, JFK Conspiracy? I used it to kill big bugs in my office. What do you think? Also, do you believe the James Files confession? I don't know what that is.
James Files is a criminal, Bill, that said that he would killed Kennedy like 25, 50 other people said. No, I don't believe Files. There's Jim Diogenio wrote a couple articles on that, and Kennedy's and King destroying that. But Files is a complete lie. I mean, I don't believe anything. So I wouldn't even waste time at that. As far as the Brad Meltzer book, Bill, no, that's just more mainstream media garbage. Like he calls it, what is it, conspiracy or something? But then
it's just called JFK Conspiracy. Yeah, question mark.
And he talks about earlier attempts on Kennedy. I thought he was going to be talking about the prior plots.
That's what I thought too when I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't take too much in that. Meltzer's another guy I'm very suspicious of, Billy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, Charlotte Blackman, Sydney, New Wales, Australia. Thank you very much. We are a couple of weeks. Next week, we're going to be interviewing somebody in Australia. So
13 hours ahead, Bill. That's going to be
that's right. That's right.
PM one. It'll be what, 11 a.m. over there.
Yeah. Right.
Down there.
All right. Next one comes from Alf on Twitter. Is this Scott?
No.
Harry? No, it's just Alf.
That's
Alf from Meltzer.
His identity. It's just Alf.
All right. Here is my topic and question for the month. After the Dulles and Hoover reign of terror with CIA/FBI and high-profile assassinations and destructions of Black leaders in this country, many think the deep state just took over running the country and the Dems are just controlled opposition. I've always dismissed this conspiracy nonsense. Big leap of faith there, particularly after church committee, etc. But Dems seem to not understand the seriousness of the moment. And I'm coming around to this line of thinking. What is your thinking? My guess is the most awful things done by the deep state, likely outsourced, Mossad one destination, perhaps Russian mob another. Do you think the Dems have any real power? It sure is alarming and depressing that many think that the deep state is running everything, support the swampiest of deep state characters in Trump. I'm afraid we are in real danger here, and globally, and the far right controls media and on all fronts, local, Sinclair and the like, newspapers, national and cable TV, podcasts, Spanish-speaking radio / outlets, etc. And moderates and the left do nothing to counter this, which seems to give credibility to the controlled opposition narrative. Thank you both for all you do. Hope to check out a band performance this spring / summer. Well, I hope so, Alf. Sean, I agree with a lot of what he's saying there. I really believe that the Dems are almost handcuffed at this point. I mean, it seems like there's just
don't have the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court.
But it's not just that. It's almost their inability to run against the far right. It seems like it's almost like, what's that expression? Shoveling shit against the tide. It just doesn't seem to stick, and nothing works. And for whatever reason, and I don't think that these far right conservative Christian nutbags are the majority. I just think they're the most outspoken. And I think a lot of people who are most impacted by these things, by these elections, don't vote.
Right.
They don't. And that's a shame. People don't take the time to do what they need to do in order to make their lives better.
So Bill, Alpha's a big fan, longtime listener. On Twitter, he comments quite a bit.
Yeah.
But what one of the Trump's done so many awful things, but one of the worst things he did is convince people that the deep state is only the left wing, and and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the other thing, Bill, is everything ties into what we were talking about with the episode we have up now with the 1929 conference, how the overworld, the underworld meet, Bill. Everything's connected. You could call it whatever name you want, the deed, whatever. But the thing is, it's the right wing has always been the biggest threat. Go back to the 60s and the Civil War that Rick Otto talks about in his books, where he talked about the right wing was attacking the left wing and changed the party, the Democratic Party, with COINTELPRO, Operation Chaos, assassinations of left wing, not only in the United States, but around the world, left wing leading leaders. We talked about that with Walter Herbst in an episode that'll probably be up before this one. But the thing is, and then you put in a guy like Kash Patel, who says, I'm going to change the FBI and shut the building down and make it a museum of the deep state. Kash Patel and Trump don't care at all about the things that Hoover did. They don't care about COINTELPRO. They don't care about the people that investigated Trump. I mean, I don't understand why people can't see this, Bill. It goes again to the Trump sycophancy and Trump complacency.
Right.
I don't understand why they try to look at, anti-war and all this other big picture stuff when Trump don't know the big picture.
Right.
Look at the threat in front of you in the just garbage job he's doing right now. These last 2 months, Bill, I don't understand how anybody, Bill, and I'm probably going to open the floodgates here, but if somebody could just send us an email that's a Trump supporter, and listen, I'm going to be specific here. Don't mention Bill's name. Don't mention my name. So don't call us libtards and don't mention Clinton, Obama, Biden. Tell us why Trump's doing a good job. Tell us, and don't mention anybody else. I don't want to hear about anybody else. I want to hear about Trump.
Right.
Okay? And then we'll review it, and then we'll talk about it. Like I can tell you right now the great things about JFK, and I don't have to mention Lyndon Johnson or Richard Nixon.
Right.
So let's see if you could do that. And I want facts. And even like immigration bill, his numbers are terrible compared to Biden, compared to Obama's not even close to the that he was deporting with criminal records. It's not even close. And the thing is, his ICE is harassing legal citizens. They're stopping Native Americans, but where are you going to deport Native Americans to? Could you tell me that? This is like silliness, Bill. This is like silliness. So I don't know. There's a lot there, Bill.
Yeah, there is.
Whole episode with his question there.
Absolutely.
But
All right, thank you, Alf. Appreciate it. All right, Sean, we gotta start getting through these. From Forest Walking on Instagram. Hi, big fan of the podcast, but just writing to you with a question. It's about Oswald, really. There's a lot of discussion about why JFK was assassinated and whether Oswald did it or not, but it doesn't seem like anyone ever discusses why Lee Harvey Oswald was set up to take the fall. Although I think he definitely was set up, I can't figure out why. It would be a bit of a risk with his possible connections to various dodgy people and agencies. And of course, there was no guarantee that Ruby would have killed him when he shot him. So why do you think Lee was used as a patsy? This has been bugging me for years. Also, why do you say with certain that Mafia was not involved in the JFK assassination? Anyway, love the pod. Keep up the good work. Well, Forrest, we've done a lot of episodes. I mean, I would go back and listen to a lot of the episodes we've done with Jim D'Eugenio. But Sean, if you want to give a quick,
I'll give a short version, Bill. You have Forrest Walker there. He comments on Instagram a lot. Like I said, we get a lot of questions on various social media outlets, and he's a listener for a while now. But Oswald basically was sheep-dipped, Bill, as a communist, infiltrating different organizations for intelligence agencies, and he was used by the government. I mean, that's pretty clear. And he became a perfect, like they said, useful idiot. So he became the perfect guy. And as far as Ruby killing him, like we talked about that with John Armstrong, about how, they had the perfect plan set up to eliminate Oswald. But I think afterwards they learned not to use somebody who's so close to the agency with ties later on in patsies. But I think at that time he was the perfect patsy, Bill, because they were, remember, the whole thing was to blame the communists, to blame Castro, to blame Khrushchev. And here's a guy who you're sheep dipping as a communist. So he was perfect. And as far as the mob, Bill, we covered this so many times.
right.
The mob couldn't get into the autopsy room. The mob couldn't change the protection for the president. They couldn't change the parade route. The mob couldn't, they're not going to hold files for 60 years and block them because the mob killed Kennedy. The mob didn't have the means. The guys they always say are suspects didn't have the power.
We always say this, Sean. They had the motive. They didn't have the means or the opportunity, right?
Kind of like the Klan, Bill, because we're going to have an episode coming up on the Klan, and that's the same thing with them.
And intelligence had all of it. They had the motive, they had the means, they had the opportunity. Right. And I think, Sean, one thing that they thought, they didn't ever expect that there would be so much investigation into this. I think they thought it would be cut and dry.
They didn't expect citizens, like they controlling the narrative.
Exactly.
They didn't expect these citizens, like the early researchers, Mark Lane and these guys, to come out, and then later on Jim D'Eugenio, Lisa Pease, and now Bill. I think we're even a part of that now. They didn't expect this to go on for so long,
right?
So no. But tell Forrest Walker, go back and watch our episodes. We covered Oswald so many times, and we covered the mob stuff. You just got to binge watch our earlier episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, they thought we're going to parade out the guy, we're going to kill him, and that'll be the end of it. And that just wasn't. So, all right. But Forrest, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Sean, we've got Giordano in Rome, Italy, a long-time listener, commenter, question asker. The Larry McShane episode was incredible and a big catch. Since his people reached out to you, it means you guys are noticed at high levels. It's only a matter of time before you hit it big. I would love another episode with just you two and McShane sitting at a bar and sharing your vast knowledge of American organized crime. My question is if there was ever a Cosa Nostra presence in Hawaii. Salute, keep it up. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
It is good, but the McShane episode's up now. It's not, or was up last week. It's not doing as well as we thought. So go back and watch that episode because it's filled with a lot of great information. I mean, Larry had great stories. A little disappointing on the viewers compared to our other ones.
Yeah.
So go back and watch that one because it's a really good episode. But as far as the Hawaii thing, Bill, no, there really hasn't been. I mean, Meyer Lansky tried to get in there a little bit. The Los Angeles mob, Cosa Nostra family, Mickey Cohen a little bit, but nothing major. Hawaii's always been controlled, Bill, by the Japanese Yakuza.
Right.
These triads, they've been in there. The Samoan gangs have run that. That's Hawaii organized crime. That's always been. It's more Asian gangs and Asian organized crime than American Cosa Nostra, American Syndicate never really made inroads in Hawaii.
Right. All right, Giordano, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hey, this one comes from Don McGovern. friend of the program and a longtime guest. Hi, Sean and Bill.
Great guy.
Absolutely great guy. I hope you won't mind if I stick my nose into the Marilyn Monroe Little Red Diary debate with Chloe.
Never mind.
Please note, Chloe, that Marilyn Monroe Red Book of Secrets did not exist until 1974, the year Robert Slatzer, is that how you say it, Slatzer?
Slatzer, yeah.
Published The Life and Curious Death of Marilyn Monroe. Slatzer, and quite possibly along with Frank Capel, created the stage.
FBI asset.
Yep, created the stage prop as a motive for RFK to murder Marilyn with the sanction of JFK. After Marilyn's death, no one knew to search for the infamous diary. It did not exist for 12 years. Why? Not one person in Marilyn's inner circle of friends ever mentioned a red diary. Not DiMaggio, not Pat Newcomb, or Susan Strasberg, or Miller, or even Eunice Murray, who allegedly possessed the diary briefly before she gave it. Allegedly, to Lionel Grandison Sr., only 5 persons claim to have seen the diary: Slatzer, Gene Carmen, Lionel Grandison, Ted Jordan, and finally Michael Rothmiller. Slatzer, Carmen, Grandison, and Jordan each told multiple stories regarding the diary, how they came to see it and read it. Rothmiller did not mention a diary for 59 years. Additionally, the writing in Marilyn's actual journals are incredibly different from the writing attributed to her by the 5 dubious witnesses mentioned above. Also, what compelling evidence exists, or can you provide, which proves that the CIA murdered Marilyn or had any motive to murder her? Why would Marilyn's death get back at JFK and RFK? If you accept that Marilyn was romantically and sexually involved with the middle Kennedy brothers and that she was going to squeal on them during a press conference, for the CIA to murder her seems nonsensical. A terrible scandal would be more damaging, much more damaging, embarrassing to JFK and RFK than Marilyn's corpse. Murdering her would function as a favor to JFK and RFK by eliminating a danger to them personally and politically. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah, great points.
Yeah.
Great points,
I mean, we can't say any better than what he just did. So
Don's the best.
he is.
He's
All
the
right,
best. Thank you, Don.
Don, I can't wait to talk to you again, Don. Thank you very
Bill,
much.
just one thing I want to add. When you mentioned all those names, Slats and all those guys, I was just thinking of like Liar's Row. I mean, that was just a unbelievable bunch of liars grouped in one sentence. Unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Hey, this one comes from Lisa Pease, 4356 on the Don McGovern episode. I asked Lisa, I'm sorry, I asked David Heyman's editor at Simon & Schuster why there were no photos of any of the documents that Heyman quoted. I said, didn't you ask to see any of them? Just to make sure he wasn't making it all up. And she said, well, he's the expert. And I told her, probably not. By the way, I got her to answer the phone because she kept dodging my calls by asking her assistant how old she was. I thought if she was young, it's possible she really just fell for that crap. But if she was older, there's no excuse. Sure enough, she was older. Yeah.
It's great to have Lisa and Don comment, follow up the episodes when they're mentioned and stuff, and
Right.
They're great knowledge. So it's great.
It's all about selling books. Let's not make this anything other than what it is. It's all about making money and selling books.
Making money and damaging the Kennedy's reputation and Marilyn Monroe's. But yeah, it's a big money maker, Bill. And
It sure is.
Made a lot of money. Heyman made a lot of money.
Yep.
Making stuff up.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate that. I'm sure that was some conversation.
Lisa's the best.
She is. All right. Next one comes from Josh Ron 99 on the Armstrong Joseph episode. Armstrong's own videos flow from point to point, enlightening as he goes. This presentation seemed a bit disjointed to me, though still good. The format might have been better if Armstrong had been asked to prepare and present with minimal interviewer interaction. So let me just jump in here on this one, because first of all, John was not able to see what was being presented. He was just on the phone. Originally, he was supposed to be part of the video,
Right.
and he was not able to join via video. I was actually the one presenting. I had no clue what I was supposed to be showing. David was supposed to be, David was kind of telling me as we went, but I was actually showing the wrong thing for half the time. So when I went back and edited it, I was really trying to put in the slides that made the most sense. And I think if there's any interviewer interaction as far as that goes, and there's a reason why it was a bit disjointed, it's my fault. It just, I wasn't a good editing job. I didn't do a good job presenting. So my apologies. And hopefully, you know, we can get John on at some point to actually do a video presentation.
No, I disagree. I think you did a great job editing that. And I think the flow, I think it was really, I think it was pretty good. It was just different than what John normally does, because John don't do a lot of episodes, podcast, Bill.
Right.
He's on Black Op Radio quite a bit, which is a totally different show than ours, Bill. Ours is more of an interaction, a back and forth, where Black Op Radio is usually, you know, the host just lets the guests tell their topic, and it's just normally the guest talking 95% of the time. That's not really what we do, Bill. So, you know, that's not really our show. So I think
Right.
I think it flowed pretty good. I think next time we have John on, he's going to talk, you know, about Harvey and Lee, and maybe we can make it flow a little better. But I think he did a great job editing that. That was a really hard episode to edit.
It was.
The things, and the fact that John couldn't get his video.
Right.
It shows how great of a mind he has, that he did all that by memory.
Yeah.
Nothing in front of him.
Yeah. And David was kind of the interpreter. He was trying,
Right.
you know, kind of.
And I thought David did a great job. I thought that episode was good. It's just different than what John normally does. Like
Right.
John, when he's on Black Op Radio, is totally different than when he was on our show. And we have him back next time, and Harvey and Lee talking about that. We'll do more of a, you know, we'll have him set up what he wants to talk about, and we'll try to make it flow a little better. But I thought it was pretty good, Bill, and I thought you did a great job editing it, to be honest.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Sean. All right. Well, Josh Run 99. Thank you. Appreciate your comment. From this one comes from Christopher Kimball, which I think is a name that sounds familiar. 853.
He comments a lot, Billy.
On JFK Records episode. Once again, great show, guys. Yeah, that was very enlightening, and that was, I mean, as topical as you can get. That's, you know, that is an episode. We had the experts, literally the experts on
AJ missed that one though, Billy. AJ missed that.
He
AJ
must have missed that. Either that, or he just didn't understand what he was watching, which is probably the case. But yeah, I mean, we literally had the people who are doing the investigation on this on our program, and they were able to really, you know, help us. And you know what? There's if you're a fan of Matt Crumpton and his podcast, Solving JFK, Andrew went on Matt's podcast and did an episode. So I would definitely recommend, if you want more content on that, go out and listen to Solving JFK. Andrew Eiler was on with Matt. Yeah, go ahead.
Bill, if you follow us on social media, on Twitter or Facebook, Andrew's on there, and he comments a lot on this stuff, and I repost a lot of his stuff, especially on Twitter.
Yeah.
So he's constantly updating it because he's involved with all this and doing great work. So follow us on Twitter, and you'll see a lot of the stuff that Andrew's posting. Same thing with Monica Weizak. She posts so many great clips of JFK and interviews and stuff, and I repost them on my Twitter page. So follow us on social media, because you get a lot of great content.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Christopher Kimball, thank you very much. Next one comes from Mark Marinacci, 7378. Why did everybody puts numbers after their name? I don't know.
I think that's when they come through on YouTube, Billy. Like,
okay.
I forget to mark all of them, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But we're getting them from all different places. But sometimes they email the podcast directly.
Yeah. Okay. So Mark says on the Joseph Armstrong, David Joseph John Armstrong episode, Armstrong is as learned as anyone into the JFK murder and the resulting demise of a full democracy in America. I would agree with that. We just talked about that.
Yeah, Armstrong is fantastic, and we're going to get John back. You're going to see a lot of them guys.
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Mark Marinacci. All right, Sean, our final question comes from the Legend of Rawhead Rex, who is a legend for sure. Hey, Sean and Bill, love the latest episode where you cover the new Manson documentary. Thanks for reviewing it. What'd you say?
He's talking about the Speakeasy on Patreon.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we did that on.
We did do a free show with Manson, but that was a long time ago.
That was a while ago. Yeah,
first season.
If you're interested in hearing Sean talk about this new documentary, sign up for our Patreon because he did almost a whole episode on that. Yeah. Thanks for reviewing it. It sounds like they're sticking with the same old stuff that has been repeated for decades. One thing Manson has said many times over the years was that his mother was basically a hooker, but I saw something where that turned out to be a lie. I'm not saying he had a great childhood, but he is a compulsive liar, so it's really hard to know what to believe with him. Sean, I was wondering if you remember hearing that part. I felt it was mostly a big acting performance, but that's me. Keep up the good work. Your buddy, Rawhead Rex, a.k.a. the Rexter, the Islanders own New York. Oh, come on, Rawhead. You know that's not true. You know it's the Rangers.
Maybe Staten Island, Billy. He's talking about just Staten Island.
I don't know. I think Long Island, but I think there's
Long
more
Island. Sorry, Long Island.
There's more Ranger fans on Long Island than Islander fans. The Islanders are a very small section of fans. All right. Anyway, thank you, Rawhead. Sean, what do you say about the?
Well, first of all, there's another documentary coming out on Netflix. I believe March 7th, maybe, and it's on O'Neill's book. It's on the book Chaos. So that's gonna be really interesting. I hope they don't try to take it apart. I hope they just tell the evidence and not try to. It's not some kind of hatchet job, but
yeah,
we'll find out. But as far as Rawhead's not wrong, Manson lied so many times. It's hard to take a lot of what he says serious. What was the specific question, though, Bill, about the mother? About his childhood. His mother saying that
I don't know if she was.
I mean, I don't know if you would describe her as a prostitute, but I mean, I think she might have been. She was with a lot of guys. I mean,
she was definitely loose.
She was a treat. He had a really bad childhood, Bill. But the problem is like, how do you go from that childhood to this cult leader who could control people's minds without MK Ultra involvement? Like, I don't see the link, and the documentary on Peacock totally leaves out the Haight-Ashbury clinic. Right. They talk about it going to San Francisco in the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood, but they don't talk about, just two Smiths there, and they don't talk about Dr. Jolene West, the CIA and MK Ultra. So they leave that whole thing out. And I didn't think it was very good documentary at all.
Yeah, I didn't see it, and based on your comments on it, I'm probably not going to watch it. So
yeah, I'm waiting for the Netflix one. But Rawhead, he's not wrong. Manson lies a lot. It's hard to take anything. But like a lot of these guys, Bill, they're psychopaths. I mean,
yeah,
to take him at his word.
Right. All right, Rawhead, the legend lives on.
Go Rangers. Go Rangers, tell him, Billy.
All right.
Rawhead's a diehard hockey fan, Bill.
I know he is. He's a closet hockey fan. He won't ever admit
it. He won't admit it, but he is.
He is. I know he's a big fan. I'm going to take him to a Penguins game one of these days, Sean.
I could see him banging a glass and might get tossed out though, Billy, Yeah,
he might. He might for sure. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. We couldn't do, these are great episodes. We couldn't do them without our great listeners, the comments and the questions, and even our not so great listeners that have the some of the ridiculous comments they make, but it all makes for a fun show and a good show and exciting. And
we're only about 740 behind now, Billy. So,
well, we're going to keep cranking them out, which is a good thing. So we thank you.
This was a fun episode, Billy. Really enjoyable. Great questions. Keep them coming. This was great. These questions were fantastic, Billy.
Yep, they were for sure. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much. Don't forget, check out our Patreon and everything else and blah, blah, blah. Like and subscribe and comment and all that stuff too. All right, Sean, thank you. And that's enough out of you. That's Enough Out of You podcast is executive produced and written by Bill Rader and Sean Kane and edited by Bill Rader. The That's Enough Out of You podcast and logo are exclusive property of Bags of Chicken, LLC. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or accounts of this podcast without the express written consent of Bags of Chicken, LLC is prohibited. So don't even try it.